Okay, I think it's a great opportunity for us to kick this off and get started. So hi, and welcome to this introduction to ServiceNow support, which is another installment of this ServiceNow webinar series. Now, I asked you in the chat, what fires you up, what gets you excited? And I'm here to share with you that John and I, who are on this call, what fires us up and kind of everybody at ServiceNow, what gets us excited is you all. It's putting you at the center of everything that we do so that we can make your lives better, more successful, and the list goes on. So with that being said, we are going to kick off this session. I do have to very quickly say that don't make any buying, don't make any buying decisions based on this presentation. We're sharing only information that we have up to this date. So standard safe harbor notice, don't make any buying decisions based on this presentation. Now, we have a lot of awesome future webinars and events here at ServiceNow. So I want to take a moment right now to have you all take out your phone, scan that QR code, and you can see the curated list of events that we have, where we have experts and peers who share their insights, their wisdom, so that we can all achieve our value faster. So if you happen to miss the QR code here, don't worry. The link will be shared in the chat. But I'll give you just another second right now. Take out your phone, open up that camera mode, go ahead and take a picture. I guess not take a picture, scan the QR code, load that up, and you can see future webinars that we do offer. And a couple housekeeping notes here. We have saved time at the end for Q&A, but that doesn't mean you can't ask your questions along the way. So there's a great Q&A button that's a feature in Zoom. You can hit that Q&A button at any time. Drop your question in there, and at the end of this session, we'll take a look at all those questions and we'll answer the ones that we have time for. Cool? Okay, cool. Number two, this session is being recorded. So, if I or John, we say something just like amazing and you're like, oh my God, John said this really great thing I want to come back to, you can do that because this session is being recorded and will be shared on the ServiceNow community. And finally, at the end of the session, we're going to send out a survey and ask you for feedback. We value feedback, I would say almost more than anything else, because that'll help us continue to make these sessions more valuable, more useful, more engaging, more delightful, more entertaining, and more beneficial for you all. So a quick introduction. My name's Kevin, and I am a learning solutions and delivery lead here at ServiceNow. I'm a certified master trainer, and all of that is to say I travel all around the world teaching our teams how to serve you best. And to share a little fun fact, just because I like to get to know each other, I will share that I was a contestant on The Price is Right at one time, and I didn't do very well. I didn't get up on stage or anything. I did get an area rug as a consolation prize, but yeah, that's kind of a little fun fact. And with that said, I'd like to introduce our special guest here, John Gonzalez, who's the Senior Director and Global Leader for Platform Tech. John, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, good morning, Kevin. Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to see all the cool things that gets you jazzed up and alive, feeling alive. And my name is John Gonzalez. I'm the Senior Director with Technical Support. I've been with Technical Support and ServiceNow for going on 10 years this year. So I'm an old timer here at ServiceNow, but still love it, still love what I'm doing, still love working in support. I'm going to share a fun fact with you guys, if that's okay, since everyone else did in the chat. That was awesome to see. I'm from sunny San Diego, live here currently in sunny San Diego, just like you, Kevin. And I grew up by the beach. So, of course, my parents threw me in the water very young and I started surfing. So my whole life I've been surfing, since I was about 10 years old. And I'll transition to a fun fact in my professional career here at ServiceNow. In support, we have subject matter expert teams, 6 primary ones, and I've led or been a part of each one of those subject matter expert teams. So diverse background in our platform and applications and whatnot. So a little bit about me, Kevin.
Yeah, awesome. John, surfer, ServiceNow extraordinaire. We could not be more thankful for your time and for you being here with us. So you've had a chance, everyone here, you've had a chance to meet me, Kevin, and you've had a chance to meet John. Now, we'd love to kind of get to know you a little better. So we want to know, which role do you identify with? So we sent out a poll right now. You should see a poll on your Zoom screen there, and go ahead and answer whichever one fits best for you. So do you identify with the system admin role, developer implementer role, platform owner, business leader. Let's see what you had to say. I'm seeing the answers coming through here. We got about halfway through our numbers here. Oh my gosh, I just burnt my mouth on my tea there. A little too hot. All right, so we have, it looks like a good spread. We have quite a few system admins. We have several developers and implementers. I see platform owners, business leaders. So we've got a spread. Now, the good news is at some point in this session, we will talk about something that is relevant for each of you. So whichever roles that you identify with there, we will cover something that will be of value. So I'm going to hit end poll, and we're going to pop back in. All right, so let's take a look at our roadmap. Like I said a couple times, we have a lot of great content that we're going to cover today. We're going to start by talking about an introduction to ServiceNow support. We'll understand how ServiceNow has a unique, unified approach to support. We'll talk about the Now Support portal, getting support when you need it, and finally, we'll do some conclusions, some wrap up, and we'll do some Q&A at the end. So support at ServiceNow is actually, we have a unique approach. It's a unified engineering approach. So what that means is customer service and support, global cloud services, product development, we're all unified. So John, what I'd love to better know is why does this matter and what are the benefits of that?
Yeah, you've heard that saying, one throat to choke. Well, that's very true with our chief technical officer. He owns the three major components in technology and ServiceNow: the development of our product, the operations of that product, serving it out to our customer base, and then supporting that product. And all of those they fall under the same umbrella. So that's terrific in that if there's a problem, if there's an issue, if there's an initiative that needs to happen, it's all happening under one umbrella. And so I think that's a terrific thing. I've been at other companies where things have been really segmented, completely different business owners and whatnot. And so this is, when we go into meetings with these other teams, support is right in there with the development, with the developers, with the operations guys, and giving feedback on what's happening on the ground, what kind of cases we're seeing, what kind of impact we're seeing on those cases directly to these teams so they can really understand where our customer base is coming from. So I think that's a really unique visibility that our team brings to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this actually fits perfectly with our ServiceNow values. One of our values is win as a team, or win and work as a team. And I think about this, like there's no walls between these different departments. So what ends up happening is there's a common goal. Everybody works together, less silos, less walls, and more unification, which means better support for all of you. So John, thank you for sharing that. Now, I want to better understand what support looks like across the map, across the globe for ServiceNow. So let's talk about what are all these locations? What are these little colored icons? What do these represent here?
Sure. These are the locations of our support centers primarily. So the green indicates our support centers. So there is where we have all of our technical support engineers, management team, the whole support staff, taking in the calls, answering the questions, and working with you directly. Along with those, we have our site reliability centers. That's where we host the actual servers, the databases, the app nodes, et cetera. That's where we're doing the monitoring, alerting, and that's where those teams that are monitoring those systems are located at. So the actual operations there, you'll see that they're co-located. They sit on the third floor right above me. So we have a real tight interaction here in San Diego. As you can see, we have the data center and site reliability engineers located here in San Diego. And that's going to be true in all these other offices. A lot of interactions with these teams, when we get on bridges, on P1s and whatnot, everybody's coming together real tightly. So, that's there for a reason. We also have a couple of other teams, such as the U.S. Federal Support Center. And these are our engineers that are dedicated strictly for Fed type cases, the separate instance for the federal accounts and whatnot. And then in Japan, we have a language center specifically for the Japanese language. And so that's why that's co-located there in Tokyo. So we have specific engineers that are just handling for our customers in Japan.
Excellent.
The sites are, let me just, to get a chance to list out the sites. We have Santa Clara and San Diego on the West Coast. we're located on the East Coast in Orlando. So if you're out there on the East Coast, you're going to be contacting one of our Orlando engineers. We have sites in Dublin, in Staines, England, and in Amsterdam. And so in our EMEA folks that are joining us from EMEA, you're going to be talking with someone from one of those centers. And then we have Hyderabad, handling our Asia, Southeast Asia. And then we have Tokyo in Sydney. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all good, but I'm seeing some numbers on this slide that I really want to call out. There's a couple numbers at the top left there. It says 24/7 by 365. We see all these locations across the map. So what does that mean? 24/7, 365 for support. What does that actually mean?
Yeah, good point. The 24/7, I think, will fall into the next slide, the 24/7, 365. And what that is our follow the sun. So as you saw, we're laid out across the globe. And each of our centers is here 24/7, 365 days a year. Holidays, it doesn't matter when you call, we are here to help and answer any questions and take care of any issues that come up. So we're in technology, we do see priority one issues. Priority one's our highest kind of issue. And so this really dictates what kind of model we're using, and we're using the follow the sun coverage. So say, I'm just going to use it as an example. Our critical cases P1 and P2, something hot comes in, whether if it's an instance down or application down, we're going to throw the kitchen sink at this thing to get it up for you, get it back up as fast as possible. That's number one priority for us. So the cases have the ability, if they need to follow the sun. So let's say the case comes in during the Americas timeframe. We're working it in AMS here, and then come at the end of our shift, which is usually at 4 or 5 o'clock, we're going to be doing a handoff over to our Australian counterpoints located in APJ, or our APJ counterpoints located in Australia, I should say. They're going to work it during their shift, and come at the end of their shift, they're going to send the case over to Australia for that follow the sun model. Now, why that's good is that we don't have engineers here in the US staying up 24/7, working your case, being burnt out at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Fresh set of eyes, going, working on your cases. Now, that does introduce some challenges in regards to handing the cases over and whatnot, but we have a pretty robust follow the sun model in which, when we do hand off these cases, we're doing warm handoffs. We're sharing what happened during our shift, what transpired, what did we do, what actions we took, what do we need to do next. These are all important things in order to have this model work properly. Not to mention, I want to also mention that, the priority 2 cases, they're eligible to go around the world. So P1s and P2s, they're eligible to go around the world. The P3s and P4s, those usually stay within the region where they're worked. For priority 2 cases, if you're comfortable with the level of effort in which your engineer is working, the engineer may ask, hey, can I keep this case here and work with you? And a lot of the times our customers like that because they want one person to work with. They don't want to switch the hands and whatnot. And they're okay with the next day. So don't be surprised if you see us hold on to the case within region. And so that's a pretty important point. Another thing to point out is the P3s and P4s. So these are our less critical cases. Doesn't mean that they're not important, but they're not as critical, and they can be worked within region. So that's how we generally like to keep these cases with us. And so the cases can continue to Hyderabad and EMEA, and then they come back around to the US. So that's our FTS model, Kevin, and that's what we use to keep the cases going when we need to.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So we know better now where support can cover and how we can cover 24/7, 365. But let's actually talk about what's in scope, what's out of scope. What can support help with?
Sure. Support is considered to be a break-fix entity. That's like our number one thing is you get your instance, it's out of box, you start configuring it, you start adding to it. If you're writing your own custom code, let's say you have your own processes that you're writing code towards and whatnot, we consider that to be a customization. You're customizing your instance to to do what you want because this is the way you've done it in your past and whatnot. Those kind of customizations, those kind of implementations, we're going to ask you to work with our partners or with professional services to kind of work through that. And we call those kind of out of scope. And so we'll let you know. Our goal is to let you know from the beginning of the case, like, hey, this case is out of scope. We want to let you know we're going to help you with it to the best of our ability. But we may get to a point where we need to call you. We're going to ask you to call in your professional services or partners to help you implement what you're trying to do or get that customization to work the way you want it to work. But, our team is very versed in knowing like this is out of the box or this is customized because we can easily see that and decipher that. And so we're going to try and help you as best we can, but we're probably going to have to point you to the professional services or partners for those difficult things. Sorry about that. What's in support scope is the break fix. So anything that, we're replicating out of box, anything that is, configured as is and whatnot, we're going to go in there. We're going to replicate what you're doing. That's going to be one of the first things that we ask you is, what happened? When did it happen? Why did it happen? When did it start? And then we'll know pretty quickly if it's out of box or not. Those are the things that are generally in scope, Kevin.
Okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And so let's say, the people on this call, they're like, okay, great. We want to engage support. When and how would they actually do that?
Sure. When you have a problem, we want you to engage us. And what this diagram is showing is the different support levels that we offer. Our base is the most basic, guided, advanced, and total. The advanced and total, you get a lot more things. The customer experience is showing that, for our base, you're gonna rely on the self-service portion of things. So later on in the PowerPoint, you're going to see a lot more about self-service and what's offered there. That's where a lot of the base customers are going to be working out of. They can create cases absolutely via the portal, but they can't call in for that support. So that's the drawback for base. On the other hand, the guided, the advanced, and total, you get the self-service. You can create just like a base, but you can call in our number and get assistance. The advanced and total, they get a little bit more things in regards to an impact squad. So they get an actual, a team of folks that are going to sit there and really help them through upgrades, help them ensure that they're getting the most out of their ServiceNow package. So that's the customer experience there. And the availability is 5 by 12 for base. And so let me say that for the base, when you first come on as a customer, you're going to choose what time frame you want your support to start. So say I'm in Australia, I'm going to choose 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Australian time. And that's my 5 by 12 coverage. For the guided, advanced, and total, it's 24 by 7, 365. You're going to get help whenever you need it. And so this is, so the three ways that you're going to be engaged with support are: one, if you're guided, advanced, and total, you can call in and ask for help. Two, primary way is going to be the self-service, and opening up cases via our portal. And three, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but we may alert. We have alerts running in our data centers that are letting us know when memory's high, when memory's low, when space is getting low. We may alert and we may contact you proactively to say, hey, something's going on. We need to get in contact with you because we're going to do some work here to ensure that we ensure your instance is good and do everything we can to ensure it stays up. So those are the ways we're going to get a hold of you, or you're going to get a hold of us, and when. So please, Kevin, next.
Yeah, and a quick question here. So if there's a P1 outage, what does that look like across these different packages? Is there a difference? Is it the same?
Yeah, there's no difference in P1. We treat P1s the same. So if a base customer has a P1, we're going to call them up and we're going to engage with them, because our most critical thing is getting your instance back up and your users operational and back to running your business. So no difference in P1.
Got it. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. So now, how quickly should people expect responses when they do engage support?
Sure. The response, let me clarify and just say that, what a response is. The response is that you open up a case, and it's for support. It's in our contract to respond in a certain amount of time, and that's what we shoot for. That's the number one thing that our team is looking at, is not how fast, but are we meeting our obligation in acknowledging the case and taking ownership of the case. And that's paramount for us. Now, this is not the resolution. This is not delivering the resolution, because quite frankly, sometimes we just cannot put a time frame on how fast we can solve our problems. So I hear this question all the time. Do you have SLAs for resolution? We can't do that because it's impossible. Thousands and thousands of cases, and we just can't do that. But the P1 response time on base is 60 minutes. So we're going to get back to you in 60 minutes. For P2, 4 hours, P3, 3 days, and P4, 4 business days. As you can see, it's a little longer compared to the guided, which is P1, 30 minutes, and the 2 hours and 1 business day and 2 business days. Our advanced and total customers, we have our staff 24/7, 365, ready to pounce on the phones, ready to answer the calls, because that SLA is 15 minutes for P1s. So we got to be on the spot when it comes to answering the call and answering these outage situations. P2 is 1 hour, a lot more aggressive, and P3 is 1 business day, and P4 is 2 business days. So this is how quick we're going to get back to you and say, hey, I'm the owner, I got it, and you're gonna be working with me on this case.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I just want to emphasize the point that you made about first response targets and not resolution times. That's absolutely vital. So if you can just say, remind them one more time about first response targets versus resolution times, I think that's key here.
Sure. So the first response, the response is going to be, I open up the case, and Kevin, you're the engineer that is drinking his tea right now, and he sees that there's a P1 that's in the queue, and it's been sitting there for 5 minutes, and it's an advance, because I can see on the queue that it's an advanced customer. I know I have 10 minutes to acknowledge that. And so for these quick 15-minute responses, it's going to be a quick summary of, hey, Kevin, my name is John Gonzalez. I'm your technical support engineer. I'm going to be working with you. And then I take ownership of the case, and then we're going to open a dialogue and work via the case. Now I'm going to shift it to say a P2, where I have a little bit more time for responding. A base P2, I have 4 hours. So as an engineer, one of the things that, this is one of the things we teach our engineers, is to provide meaningful first responses. And we do this for cases for P2, P3, and P4 cases, where we have a little bit more time to, first ensure that we definitely read the case, we understand what's going on. Sometimes our customers don't want us calling them via phone. So, they want to work the case via just the case itself. And so, we may have to ask a lot more clarifying questions. Regardless, even if they're willing to speak with us, we are going to really try and understand that case as best as possible, and we're going to provide that meaningful first response. Now, that could include questions such as, what instances do I need S&C access to those instances, so I can jump in there and start looking around and start troubleshooting, or get clarifying information to ensure that we start the case off as best as we can.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing that. So we've talked about when to expect responses, how to engage support, what support actually does. Now, I think we should talk about some of the really good stuff here, which is the Now Support portal. So our Now Support portal it's an ecosystem of support tools, technologies, and content, so that you all can find answers and get the support that you need quickly. So we have 3 different pillars that we're going to cover in this session here today. The first will be self-service, where we'll talk about things like service catalogs, P1 dashboards, user administration. We'll talk about unassisted support, which includes knowledge bases and communities, known error portals, and finally, we'll finish up with assisted support, which is really about where you're actually submitting those cases and getting an engaged support team member from ServiceNow. So starting off with self-service, I'd love to start with just some of the main features here in the portal for self-service. John, let's go ahead and talk about some of these features.
Sure. I think the number one feature that sticks out to me is that little search bar at the very top. This is where you're going to log in and you're going to have questions about something. I think that the number one thing here is the whole idea of self-service in being able to take care of issues as quickly as possible. I know I'm used to, I have a question on something, I Google it and I go and I research it for let's say for photography or something like that. When it comes to your instance, it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same thing. I have a question on how to set up this admin group to ensure that they all get emails. As an example, I'm going to go ahead and plug in a question here, and I'm going to have the opportunity to search our knowledge base, to search our communities, to search our documentation, and everything like that. So that top bar up there is a great place to start. But there's a lot of things that we can do here at the Now Support portal, such as the onboarding assistance, in regards to, hey, I'm new here at ServiceNow. What is it that I have to do to get started? The instance and user management, that sticks out to me. I think that, knowing how many instances I have, what version are they on, when is patching going to, apply to these instances? Are there any emergency patches that need to happen? And if I do have an issue on my instance, opening up a case with support in order to get assistance, or if I want to modify something on my instance, opening up changes with support so that I can get those changes implemented. Or if I'm reporting an issue, I click on this and this is supposed to happen, and it happens on my out-of-box instance and it's not happening over here, and I think that there's a bug. I'm going to report a problem. I'm going to open up a case and try and get this linked to a problem. So these are some of the major things that we can do here with our Now Support portal.
Awesome. So I'm thinking to myself, one of the things I hear a lot, maybe I'm unique, but at the dinner table or at work, I'm hearing a lot of just like, how do I automate more of my workday? How do I leverage automation to make things better? And so I think we should talk about that. How can we automate some of the things that we can do in the Now Support portal?
Yeah, this is a real key here to the power of Now in this automation. And some of the things that come to mind are, this is really small, so I'm trying to look at the tiles here. My apologies. But plugin activations. If there's software that I've gotten and I want to add to my instance, I can activate the plugin here. Cloning instances kind of is near and dear to me because I'm on the platform team, and this is an area where my team lives is in cloning. If I have my production instance and I want to make a copy of it and I want to run update sets on that, and I want to make a lot of changes, I'm going to create an update set based off of those changes. But I don't want to run into my production instance. I want to run it in another environment. Then I'm going to clone down and I'm going to do my testing there and then promote those changes up to the production instance. So running clones or creating a copy of your production onto your sub-production instances, if you have them, is very important. And this is where you do that kind of work. Either your version entitlement, taking a look to see, hey, where am I at? Am I on Tokyo? Am I on Utah? Is Vancouver coming up pretty soon here? Plugins, do I have entitlement to this type of plugin? So this is where you're going to go and find that information out. And then if I have training credits and I have my admins that need some ServiceNow training so they can get proficient on the platform, they can get proficient on installing applications and whatnot, this is where I'm going to go check for those and do some administration there.
John, real quick, you've been saying this is where they do all of that. I just want to be hyper clear so that we can be very helpful for everybody. How exactly do they get to these automation tiles in the Now Support portal? What button do they have to click?
They click on that automation. That's where I'm It's real tiny. My apologies.
So it says automation store. Yep.
Yes, you go to that automation store right there, and this will get you access to these tiles. Very important. One that comes up here is the upgrade and patch an instance. So let's say you have your own personal instance that you've been playing on because you want to get really proficient in ServiceNow. So you request a demo instance. And you would come over here and click on, hey, I want to go to Vancouver because we're an early release, and they have some exciting things in there that they're doing that I want to start taking advantage of. I'll click on here, I'll go to find my instance, and this is where I'd upgrade. Automation store is where you find this stuff at, Kevin.
Perfect. And let's just talk a little bit about that last bullet point there, the Z boot an instance. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Z booting an instance is something that, what Z boot does is it takes an instance and it reverts it back to factory settings. That's the easiest way I can explain it. So it's going to clear out any data. It's going to zero out the data. You have the option to add fake user data, so you can see fake names and whatnot. But what that does is, let's say you've gone in there and you have an instance, a subprod instance, and you've configured it. You don't like the way it's turning out. You're having problems with it, and you want to start all over again. This is what you would do. You would go and you would request a Z boot of the instance to return it back to factory settings, the way ServiceNow gave it to you initially. Now, this is important to know because you never want to Z boot your production instance. Let's say you're a year into running your instance, and the last thing you want to do is fat finger and Z boot that. So we do have a lot of guardrails in place so that not only our customers but our engineers do not Z boot production instances. So don't be surprised if you're if you hear that one of your users is trying to Z boot an instance and we call you up and say, hey, we're not going to allow this, unless we speak with the business owners and everybody like that, to really ensure that we're protecting your data as much as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense. And just between all of us here, I've heard a rumor that there is a rock band in San Diego with ServiceNow employees, and the name of the band is Z-Boot. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, these guys, Z-Boot is a rock band. They play at all of our major releases, which is pretty cool. They play at our at big company events. The Unified Technical Group gets together once a year. UTG gets together once a year, and Z-Boot, you can depend, is always going to be there. So fantastic rock music, and wonderful to see those guys.
And, out on the stage, always reminding people, do not Z-boot your production instance. So awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Now let's talk about when we do need to manage an instance, what are some of the features of the Now Support portal for doing that?
Yeah, clicking on instances here, you're going to get a view of what instances do I own and what's going on with them, and what can I do with them. And scheduling patches and upgrades is a key thing. Being aware of new releases and whatnot. We're going to be sending a lot of updates to your users that you designate as to when we're going to be having scheduled patches and upgrades happen. We have a program here of N-1 where we want our customer base to just be one major release behind the latest. And so that is something that you're going to want to stay on top of, because it's real important that you're getting those security fixes that are coming out. You're staying at the latest and greatest, and you're able to take advantage of the product as best as possible. So scheduling the patches and upgrades, being proactive there is one of the major things that you can do to manage your instance as healthy and robust as possible. We are going to send maintenance activity updates out as well. So if you want to find out, hey, what is ServiceNow saying that I should be, doing to keep my instance as healthy as possible, that's where you're going to want to find this information out. I talked about security recommendations and resources. This is an important one in that, we come out with security patches every so often, and we need to get them in your systems as quick as possible to ensure that you and your user base is protected, and that you're having the latest and greatest when it comes to ensuring a safe environment. And that's the thing, is we want you to feel like, hey, when you put it in ServiceNow, you're putting it in a vault. And we do that by staying current with our security recommendations. You can check on the size of the database, what kind of footprint do I have and whatnot. And you can find out IP information. This is important because you may have integrations that need to run with ServiceNow. Maybe I have SAP that I need to tie into, Oracle that I need to tie into, and they need an IP address from ServiceNow in order to tie it into their application and whatnot. This is where you'd pull that information from. So great place. This is a good landing spot for you to definitely bookmark.
Sounds good. So we've talked about managing instances. Now let's talk about managing accounts, users, and how all of that can happen in this Now Support portal.
Right. So clicking on your name, you'll see this drop down here. And, one of the things that I'll call out is, you can edit your own profile, but even more importantly, manage account and users, especially if you're going to be part of that team for your company. This is where you would set your support contacts. And this is important because these are the folks that are going to be able to open up cases on your behalf. They're the ones that are going to get these updates in regards to maintenance, in regards to upgrades, in regards to security patches and whatnot. And if you're an administrator that's responsible for uptime and you want to open up Windows, then this is where you're going to upgrade Windows or what am I trying to say? Maintenance Windows for your company. Then you're going to want to know what's happening with ServiceNow, and this is where you're going to want to grab this information. You're going to want to set the right people so that these emails are going to that right team, whether it's an alias or whether that's specific people, so that they know that something's happening to these instances, and you're marking your calendars that, hey, something's happening in this instance, and we're not surprised that we're going to be getting this patch on a certain day. Or we're not surprised that ServiceNow is saying that there may be a window of 5 minutes or an hour where my instance won't be available because of a major upgrade or something like that. Or I'm planning for my upgrade. That's even more important, is, hey, I'm going to be moving to Vancouver here shortly. I want to start testing. I want to start, getting my subprods up to Vancouver to ensure that all my update sets are working properly and all changes are going through as smoothly as possible. So it's important to keep the users, your support contacts up to date, because they're going to be doing the administration and opening up cases on your behalf. You can unlock accounts, you can reset passwords, you can personalize your profile. Those are all the key things that you can do here under the user admin area.
So what I'm hearing is, let's say, user account gets locked or someone forgets their password, they need it reset. What you're saying here is we don't have to create a case to get help from, ServiceNow's support team. We can just self-service that by clicking our name at the top right, clicking on manage account and users, and taking care of it from there. Is that right?
Correct. Exactly.
Cool. So let's find out from the audience. I mean, we just talked about managing catalogs, managing users, service catalogs, managing instances. So let's find out, how many of you are using self-service today? Let's see. We have the answers here. We have yes, love it. Nope, never tried it. Or I tried it and I don't like it. And what self-service? Hopefully nobody asked the question, what self-service? Oh, we got a few. All right. I'm seeing a lot of yes, loving it coming in. I see a few that have never tried it. We'll keep this open for another 15 seconds. And what I'd also love to do is, if you've already answered the question, go ahead and drop into the chat there. Let us know what stood out the most. What did you just learn from, talking about managing instances, managing users and accounts, talking about service catalog and automation? What's something new that you know now that you didn't know 25 minutes ago? So go ahead and drop that into the chat. We'll let the poll run for about 5 more seconds. And it looks like the majority of our answers from the poll are that, yes, we love using it and we have used it. It looks like the next answer would be, nope, I have never tried it. So then I guess I would say, for those of you that use it and love it, awesome, keep doing that. We appreciate you and support you. For those of you that haven't tried it, I recommend at some point today, log into the Now Support portal and just try one new thing that has to do with self-service. And you'll start to see how these things snowball and become more useful over time. So we've talked about, the poll is back up here. We've talked about.
Kevin,
Yes,
can I jump in real quick? And Paul Mercer had asked a question that I'd like to answer real quick because it's kind of still on the topic here. And his question is, do we need a separate account to use the Now Support portal? And my answer would be, you're going to want that account tied to your company account because that company account is going to be tied to the company instances. And so if you're using a separate account, it's not going to be tied to the resources and where the instance is located and whatnot, then you're not going to be able to open up cases, questions, and whatnot, and you're not going to be tied to those instances. So best practice would be, being under that company account. I hope I answered that question from Paul, but I was just taking a look at that. Please continue. Sorry to throw you off rhythm.
No, that's great. It's absolutely essential to know that. And it's a good opportunity for me to say, for those of you that do have questions, we have a Q&A button in our Zoom window. If you hit that Q&A button, you can drop those questions in, and we'll have a chance to come to all of these questions at the end and answer as many of them as we can. So, John, we've talked about self-service, and I want to move into some other amazing features of the Now Support portal, specifically around unassisted support. So things like knowledge base and community and known error portal. So if we dive into the knowledge base, I think most of us know what a knowledge base is. It's a collection of easily discoverable articles and specific topics are covered. But here at ServiceNow, we actually create and update these knowledge base articles while cases are being investigated and resolved. That's huge. I'm going to say that again. At ServiceNow, we update and create these knowledge base articles as cases are being investigated and resolved. Why is that so valuable?
It's valuable to our customers in regards to every time that they open up a case, our engineers are searching to see if we have already created an article against this issue that's being reported. When we do find relevant knowledge, we close our cases pretty quick. And when we don't, the expectation is that we search, and if we don't find, then we create articles. And what that does is that, part of the KCS philosophy that ServiceNow implemented about going on 7 years now, part of that philosophy has been no article is even if the article is never used, it may be used one time, and it's important to have in our database. And so it's worth the effort. The philosophy of, search, and if we don't find, create. And if when we create, ensure that, to the best of our ability, it gets published to the public viewing so that all of our customers can see answers that are out there in our knowledge base. So that's why it's so important. It just lifts the footprint of what our customers are able to self-serve on. Very important piece to keep our support cases under control when customers are able to search things such as patching, and this is part of that self-service. You see the articles being displayed in the right box, and we have a filter on the left box where you can choose from different knowledge bases. Maybe you want to look at our documentation and read on a certain topic such as patching. Maybe you want to search support specific KBs out there, or maybe you want to look at the communities and see what's being said out there in regards to patching topics. So very, very important. We mentioned over here, join our SMUG, Knowledge Management User Group, and you can do that through the communities, but I'll let you continue, Kevin.
Yeah, so one of the things I want to highlight here is we make it easy to find the right knowledge base article that you're looking for by using that search bar up at the top and those filters on that left side. It becomes very simple to find the answer that you're looking for. But John, let's just quickly touch on the known error portal.
Sure. Known errors are tied to our problems that are found, aka also known as bugs. And this allows our customers and engineers to be able to search for certain. Let's say we get an error string, we pull up the error string, and we report a PRB, a problem against that error string. And the idea here is to have it published so that it's consumable not only by our customers or not only by our engineers, but by our customers as well. Now, there may be a code fix that needs to happen against this PRB, and that code fix may be a release or two away. And maybe that's not going to solve it for our customers. So they request, hey, is there anything else that we can do? Can you help us find a workaround for this? Well, this known error article that they create based off of the PRB will have that kind of information. Not only that information, but it'll have, until that bug is fixed, until that PRB is fixed, it'll remain active, and you'll be able to see once the fix is released. So it's integral part of support and development, and our customers to know what's happening when it comes to problems.
Excellent. So let's keep talking about some unassisted support, unassisted self-support that we do have in the Now Support portal. We have something called Virtual Agent, which is really, it has to do with common solutions. Can you just touch quickly on this one?
Yeah, the common issues is where Virtual Agent really stands out. If you go in there and you ask some common issues, Virtual Agent, it's been pretty, it's been implemented for a while now. It's getting good traction in regards to being able to answer a lot of common questions and being able to provide quick, easy answers. I know I use it a lot more in my daily life, so it's something that definitely give it a try.
I can definitely attest. I also use it in my daily life too, for sure. All right, so I want to talk about one of my favorite aspects of unassisted support for Now Support Portal, and that's our community, which our community is incredible. There's over 300,000 active users, and there's all kinds of highlights and benefits for why the community is so valuable. John, I'd love if you could just touch on a few of these.
Yeah, one thing that comes to mind, when you're searching is definitely you're going to want to start at the community. Because boy, our community base is fantastic at getting back answers. We see a lot of articles from our engineers being created based off of community dialogues, community responses and whatnot. And our engineers are also involved in the community. They go out there and they're trying to answer questions and help our customers along the way. So, support benefits both ways in regards to, the community answering questions and our support engineers answering questions, and it benefits our customers. So you're going to probably be able to answer a lot of your questions via the community. It's a great place to start in addition to the knowledge base. You'll also find discussion boards here where you can pop in and ask a question, and you'll see this just get lit up with answers. And they're pretty quick to respond. And then this is where you'll be able to find certain events, such as our SNUGs, ServiceNow user groups, where they'll get together in certain areas, certain locations, certain sites, and actually have cocktail hours and discussion boards and discussions and whatnot. Fantastic place to link up and get connected with other ServiceNow user groups. And then you can definitely find the platform release information, what's happening, what's our roadmap, what's going on with our product, when can we expect releases and whatnot. So valuable asset that's intertwined with support that we're definitely members and participate in.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So when I think about, getting help and support quickly, I think about community. I think about knowledge base. I think about known error portal, virtual agent. We have so many tools and features available at everyone's fingertips. But there are times where we do need to actually create a case. And I think it's important that we actually zoom in on this idea of when we create a case, how can we as customers, how can we make sure that we're doing the best thing possible for our support team to be able to help us with that?
Yeah, this is the important part here. Especially being as part of technical support, in creating cases, what's the best way to go about doing it? First off, what you're looking at here is our incident record producer, aka IRP, and it's going to ask you a series of questions. So I log in to my account, and I go and I navigate I navigate over here to creating a case. And I think that you're going to have to choose what's affecting what's affecting me. Is there something wrong? Is there an actual outage? Because if there's an outage, that's going to create a high priority case. If I'm having performance issues, if I just have a general question, if I have a service request, or I can't read the last one, too tiny.
It says trust assurance.
Trust assurance. Okay. So for any of these situations, you're going to want to provide as much information as you can to help that engineer zero in on the problem as best he can, zero in on the issue as best he can. So what helps him there is a clear description of what's the issue. When did it start, and who is it happening to? Those are extremely valuable, because maybe it's happening to 4 or 5 users, maybe it's happening to 1,000 users, maybe it's happening to your whole user base. That's all important. What instance is it happening on? Am I running tests in my sub-production instance, or is it happening in my production instance? This is extremely necessary information to send our engineers in the right direction. Supporting information such as screenshots, especially if you're clicking through and you're doing things, we call that steps to reproduce. That is valuable information so that we can hop on that instance, start doing this exact same thing that you're doing in order to try and replicate the issue. Are you getting error messages that are being generated in your logs or popping up on your screen? All that stuff is absolutely critical. So the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, all that is absolutely necessary when you're creating a case to get the fast solution, to get the quickest solution to your issue.
Yeah, so the key takeaway that I'm hearing is the more details we provide, the better able ServiceNow support team is able to support and help us. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That's 100% correct.
Cool. All right, challenge for you, John. Let's talk about a typical case workflow in 30 seconds or less.
Oh, 30 seconds or less. The support case comes in to in my queue, and I answer it, and the engineer will again assess the who, what, and where, and why, and what to the best of their ability. And if it's something that they're not used to, something that they don't have knowledge on or whatnot, they're going to open up a task with either a subject matter expert in their team, or if they need to go out to our operations side of the house because something needs to happen outside of our realm, or if there's something that we just can't get to the bottom of, then they'll go to development. And so, we have the ability to engage any resources that we need here in-house, because we own it all, to engage the help that we need in order to provide the solutions as quick as possible. Now, a key thing before my 30 seconds is up, it's probably over, but a key thing is the solution proposed, because you as customers, we're gonna propose a solution to you. So you'll see your case move from a new state to a work in progress state to a solution proposed state to a closed state. So don't accept that solution if you don't understand it, or if you want clarity on it, and you want to hear more information about it, you want to have a discussion about it. Don't accept the solution until then. And then once you accept the solution, then it'll close out. So don't make the mistake of accepting the solution right away. Always wait until you have a chance to review it and understand it. And then I'm good. I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and close the case out. Sorry about that, Kevin.
That's all good. And so when a case does close, we've talked about how much we actually do truly love feedback and how much we value it here. So when a case closes, you all are going to get a survey invitation. That is an opportunity for you to share with us what we did well, what we could do better. And all of that is going to be the data and the information that we use to continue to provide you the absolute best world-class support and service that you deserve. So wrapping this session up, I know we got just a couple minutes left. We have a number of helpful resources that we'll be sending to you afterwards. So this will be available in the deck, and the deck will be available in the community page. These are all actual hyperlinks that you can click. So we have a number of very helpful resources. And this, like I said before, this will be shared in a deck that will be shared on the community. Final reminders, register now for servicenow.com/community. Like we said before, 300,000 active users, an amazing, amazing resource for you. So go ahead and register now. You can visit support.servicenow.com for access to that Now Support portal that we've been talking about throughout this session. And finally, most people don't know this, but we actually have a YouTube channel for ServiceNow support. So head to youtube.com/user/ServiceNow demo. You can see all kinds of great helpful videos there. And if you're like, Kev, you just said a bunch of hyperlinks and words, it was hard to catch all that. All of this will be in the deck on that community page in the link in the webinar chat. So with all that said, a big thank you to John for being here to answer my questions, for you all for taking time out of your day today to join us and learn about ServiceNow support. And just a big thank you to the entire ServiceNow community for really putting people at the center of everything that we do. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Kevin.